You ever see those videos from like Markiplier or Jacksepticeye or PewDiePie, like whomever back in the day or even now, showing gameplay videos or reviewing stuff?
Why? What did I do wrong? What do you mean? But I did what you asked.
And here they have their camera in the upper left-hand corner or right corner somewhere on the screen, but then they also have their gameplay, and sometimes they'll zoom into their camera, but it won't get all pixelated and gross and weird, right? It's not that complicated to do, and I'm here to teach you how to do it. It's actually pretty simple. Now, one benefit to this is to not have your camera already baked on top of your gameplay footage, much like a streamer would. You know, I think the AI thing is fun. I think all the little memes are fun. I think over time they become the same thing too much. I feel like I gotta like... So instead of taking your camera and putting it right on top of your gameplay and capturing it all in one, there's a better way to do it, and it gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of audio and video when editing your videos. So I have an instance of OBS open right now. You gotta make sure to do a couple of steps right off the bat. Go over here to your settings and you come down to video. Now this is where you set up your base canvas. Your canvas is basically your entire thing that you're recording, everything that you're gonna record. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and change this. Now, what I'm gonna change it to might mess with you a little bit, but I'm gonna actually type 3840 and leave this by 1080p. Now, also over here, you wanna go ahead and make sure to select the same thing right here. And once I hit apply, you're gonna notice we have this insanely wide, like we're shooting a James Bond movie. Before I go anywhere else, I'm gonna go ahead and just add a microphone just in case. So I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna add my audio, come down to microphone. I'm gonna choose my microphone. We're gonna come over here to our sources and we're gonna add a new source, and we're gonna add the video capture device. I'm gonna call this camera, hit OK. And it's already looking at my capture card. Fantastic. Now, if you have audio set up in your camera, you need to do something, but real quick, we're just gonna take a look at our resolution. I'm gonna change this to custom. I usually always set this to custom and make sure that I'm selecting the right resolution that my camera is setting out. So right here, I'm gonna choose the 1920 by 1080. And my FPS is actually coming out of my A7S here. This is the Mark 1, so it's a little bit older, but I'm gonna go ahead and change this down to match output FPS. Now, whatever my camera's sending out, it's gonna pick that up as the frame rate inside this thing. Now, you could go through all this if you want to, but we're gonna come down here, and just in case you have a microphone hooked up to your camera, you wanna make sure to use custom audio device, and then scroll down, and you're gonna wanna choose what the custom audio device is. So choose that if you need it. If you don't need it, don't worry about it. Now, because I already have my microphone set up, I'm gonna leave this as just default. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm just gonna hit OK, and we're good to go. Now you can see that the camera actually shows up as an audio source. Now, if you don't wanna see that, you can just come over here, click on it, click hide. Now it's gone. Now we're gonna come over here to our sources. We're gonna go ahead and right click again. Now, if you want a game capture, you're more than welcome to. Typically for me, I like to display capture. I don't wanna worry about game capture and not picking up certain things and games and whatnot. It's a headache sometimes. So I go ahead and just go right over here to display capture. And you can name this, I'm gonna call this main monitor, and I'm gonna hit OK. Now you have the option to choose which monitor you want here. I'm gonna choose my default primary monitor. And now you can see we have two separate images being recorded on our screen here. You have my camera on the left and you have my gameplay on the right. Now, if it was actual gameplay, you would see it. Now on top of this, you gotta make sure that you're capturing your gameplay audio as well. So I'm gonna come back over here to my settings, and I'm gonna go to my audio, and I'm actually gonna capture my desktop audio. Now that's just system for me. So I'm gonna hit apply and OK. So now you can see that we have our desktop audio as well as my microphone. So now when I'm recording whatever it is that I'm playing, now it's gonna record that audio as well as my microphone. Now here's the cool part. You can actually separate these audios inside of your editing software. So to do this, all you gotta do is come over here to these three little dots, and you're gonna go ahead and click on that, come down to advanced audio properties. And this is a whole new tab that maybe some of you guys don't jump into very often. Now, what's kind of cool about this is you can choose what track is being recorded where. So in this case, I do have my camera, but we disabled that a little while ago, so we're not gonna worry about it. But I have my desktop audio and my microphone down here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna deselect all these check marks here. And now that they're all deselected, I'm gonna choose which track is getting what audio. You gotta think you're gonna have 6 tracks associated with your audio, or up to 6. I don't think you can do any more than that. I'm gonna make my microphone number 1. And for my desktop audio or my gameplay, I'm gonna make that number 2. Just like that, easy peasy. To be able to separate this audio, you need to choose a correct file type. And I usually choose MKV for recording my files so that it actually allows for multiple tracks to be recorded. So I'm gonna come over here to my settings, come over to output, and in the recording tab, I'm going to choose MKV because I know that that one allows me to get multiple tracks of audio. Now MP4 and some of these other ones might work as well. You got to test it and just make sure that it works before you do anything else. I'm just running you through what the steps that I take. Now for the video encoder, I usually have it look at my stream encoder here, and that's on this tab right here underneath the advanced output settings inside of my OBS settings. So if I come over here to streaming, you can actually choose what encoder and all that kind of stuff you want to choose. I'm just going to go with NVENC and H.264, and we're just going to leave things as it is. Now you got to remember that not only are you recording your normal OBS, but you're doubling the size of it. So whatever you normally record at, you maybe want to think about doubling it to give it that extra bit rate so that the quality looks good. Now you can just run some tests real quick and check and see how it looks. Now just for giggles, I'm going to go ahead and set this over to 30,000. I'm going to hit apply. You're going to come over here to output recording, and you want to make sure to enable every track that you have selected in terms of what audio tracks you want. So I know that my microphone is on 1, and I know that my gameplay or my display is on number 2. So now I have the 2 tracks here, and that should be all I need. Now when it goes to record, it should record both sets of audio. And you can see here we have our OBS. You can see my microphone's kind of jumping around here. If we come over to our game, you can also hear the audio of the game. Now, when I alt tab, you don't hear the gameplay, but that's okay. So we're gonna come over here, alt tab, and we're gonna start recording. So I'm gonna start recording, and everything in my OBS is what we're capturing and seeing. So now that we're here, we're gonna go ahead and jump back into the game, and I'll just hit continue. And so now we're in the game, and you know, maybe this is all looking pretty good for me. Great. So now that we have some kind of gameplay up here and working, now we can actually jump on out of the game. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit escape here, and we'll just exit right to the desktop. I'm gonna confirm that, and now I can see that we're back to our OBS, and I'll stop recording. So now some editors and software out there doesn't recognize what this file type is, the MKV. So what you can do is you can come up here to file, and you can hit Remux Recordings. Now I can come over here to find my video. We're gonna find it, hit open, and now we have it right there. So it's going to take the recording file and turn it into an MP4. I'll hit Remux, it takes care of it, it's done, just like that. So I'm gonna hit close, and now we don't really need to see OBS anymore. So now we can open up our editing software. Now you can do this in Premiere or DaVinci Resolve or anything you want. I choose to use DaVinci Resolve, so let's go ahead and open that up. Now DaVinci Resolve is a free program. They do have a studio version, but the free version is so strong and so powerful. I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic editor. So we're gonna open up a brand new project here. I'm gonna go to this editing tab on the bottom, and we'll add our brand new files. Now you can come over here to the clip name or make some folders over here if you need to, but I'm gonna right click and we're going to import the media that we just made. So over here, you can see we have the MKV file as well as the MP4 file. So we'll just open up both of them. It's gonna ask if I wanna change the project frame rate, and I'll say sure, why not? Well, I'm gonna take this MP4 and just drag it right to my timeline. And now you can see something kind of cool. You can see that we have my microphone being recorded on track 1, and then we have the System Shock audio recording down below. Now with DaVinci Resolve, you don't have to remux that recording. So if I get out of this and delete it, I can actually take the MKV file and bring that right back in here. And you can see it also works just like that. Very simple, but some editors might not be able to take in or ingest the MKV file format, but DaVinci Resolve, no problem. Now that we have a timeline set up, I can actually right click on this, go to timeline and timeline settings, and we can start to mess with everything here. So I can come over here to don't use the project settings. I'll leave it as 1920 by 1080. I'll leave all this as is. And if I wanted to, I can go ahead and scale with full frame crop, which is what I'm gonna do here. So I'm gonna hit OK, and you can see it goes full screen, but now it's cut right down the middle. Oh, what do we do about that? Well, it's pretty easy. All you gotta do is just click on your video player here, and you're gonna position this over so that it gets rid of the other side. So now that we have our video kind of pushed over like this, we also need our gameplay back in here. And you can do this simply by holding Alt and dragging this clip up, and that's gonna create a second version of that exact same thing. However, this one, we're gonna actually slide it the other way. Now to make this easier on our eyes, we have 4 different things here to deal with. So I'm actually gonna colorize each one of these things as a different color. We're gonna make this one orange. We're gonna make our gameplay. Once I select this one, you can see it selects everything here. Now, if that's a problem for you, you can always right click on these and unlink these clips. So I'm gonna unlink them, and now I can individually select these tracks and change their colors as well. We have our gameplay, we have our camera, we have our microphone, and then we also have our gameplay. I want my camera on top of this, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring my camera up to the top, and we'll drag both of these down. So now my camera's on top. So what you can do is normally you can shrink down your camera, but if I do that, you're gonna see I'm gonna drag this entire this entire thing over here, and I don't want the gameplay as well as my camera. I just want the camera. So I'm gonna Control Z and go back to full screen here. So what I actually wanna do is I wanna make this a new compound clip. So if I right click on this and make it a new compound clip, we're gonna call this camera and hit create. Now this will only be the camera. And if I come over here and right click on this, new compound clip, we'll call this gameplay and hit it okay. Now we have our gameplay. And again, I can recolorize these things. If I go ahead and take my footage and shrink it down, you can see it cuts off that right side. So I don't have to deal with it. I don't have to deal with that whole second half, or I don't have to crop in on the image to like get it to fit perfectly. So perfect. Now we have exactly what we might need here. So I'm gonna go ahead and shrink this down and put this maybe up in the corner here. I'm gonna actually crop in on this guy right here, maybe a little on this side. So maybe this is how I'm kind of seeing things to play this game. So I can go ahead and keyframe this guy, hit a little button right here, and maybe the position right there as well. And over the course of a little bit of time here, maybe now we come over here and make it nice and big, and I can just fill up my screen so I can talk to my my viewers or whoever's watching these videos. So there you go. So now if I play through, so now that we have some kind of gameplay up here and working, now we can actually, and I haven't lost any of the quality, which is fantastic. So now I have my full quality there. Everything's working nice and smooth, but maybe I didn't like how loud this gameplay was, and it's very easy to just come over here and I can just simply get rid of all the gameplay audio entirely. So now maybe it's just my microphone and I don't have to worry about having multiple sets of audio. Out of the game. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit escape here. Pretty simple. So now you're able to edit with your gameplay. You're able to edit with your camera and do anything you want, and you're still gonna have the full resolution of your camera because technically you have a large recording of it. Now you're able to do whatever it is you want to do and really have control over the way that your edit looks. And at any given point, if I want to come back over here and maybe drag this back up and make this a little bit smaller over here, and maybe I want to bring this back to its original size and cropping, and so now I can have this be just full screen in on my screen, which is great. So that's it. That's this whole tutorial. It's really simple to go ahead and just go in there, make an ultra wide kind of recording, then you split your kind of tracks up and your video up in the editor, as well as having multiple different tracks of audio. So pretty cool. Check it out. Make sure you click the settings for the sound to get both tracks. Make sure you specifically choose which audio you want to record to which track, and if they're both on the same track, you're not going to be able to separate those. So make sure when you do it that you don't have them on the same track. Got it? All right. Well, thanks for watching. Till the next time, stay awesome. Like and sub. All right. Good luck. Enjoy.